Hi, sixth graders. First of all, I want to thank you for your amazing behavior with Substitute and Miss Fabiana yesterday. And those of you who did the video, I hope saw that it was really helpful for your test. Let's look at the next part of the test. Emmanuel is pulling his little sister in a wagon. This is a wagon. Emmanuel notices when he stops pulling the wagon, his little sister's body keeps moving forward. Emmanuel gets worried about his little sister's safety. What a nice brother. What do you recommend Emmanuel does to solve the problem of his brother sliding forward? Why do you recommend this solution? In your answer, be able to 1. Fully state or say Newton's first law. Give Emmanuel a recommendation to solve his problem. Explain why Emmanuel should do this using Newton's first law. So here, you'll have to restate Newton's first law on your own. Something Emmanuel could do that would help his little sister not move forward. Let's look at Newton's first law. So Newton's first law said that an object at rest will stay at rest unless another force acts on it. An object in motion will stay in motion unless another force acts on it. So Emmanuel's little sister is in motion because she's on the wagon. So she'll need another force to help her. For example, a seat belt. Hint, hint. This would work because you'll want to say something about the seatbelt being the force. Here's your challenge problem. You have a probe. This is a probe traveling through outer space, and it's moving at constant velocity in a straight line. Scientists have noticed that if it were to continue in its current path, it would eventually crash into a meteor. This is a meteor. If the probe and the meteor crash, scientists will lose valuable data and equipment. What solution would you suggest to the scientists to avoid this crash? Why would you make the suggestion? Here's a picture of the probe to your right. So, to avoid the crash of the probe, what should the scientists do? So think about Newton's first law. An object in motion will stay in motion unless another force acts on it. So it's a 7 or 8. It's a challenge problem. So you have to think about what another force could be. You'll have to restate Newton's first law and explain how your idea is an example of another force. Lastly, Amilcar is pushing his big brother on a swing at the playground. Amilcar pushes his little brother on the spring. So think about his big brother and his little brother and which one has more mass. Remember Miss D and Mr. Vasquez, which one has more mass? Amilcar found it was easier to push his little brother than it was to push his big brother. Why? You'll have to state Newton's second law. Here it is. And you'll have to explain why it's easier for Amilcar to push his little brother. You'll definitely need to say something about seven or 8. Here's your challenge problem. Mrs. Raymond's class did an experiment to investigate force, mass, and acceleration. A smaller force and a larger force are applied to 2 different rolling carts with different masses. I made a picture for you. Here we've got smaller force, just 1 person pushing, and larger force, 2 people pushing. And then here are the wagons with 2 different masses. A little bit of books and a lot of books. Trial number 1, we only had 1 person pushing, just 1 thing of books. Trial 2, we had 2 people pushing, 1 thing of books. Trial 3, we had 1 person pushing, the small thing of books. I'm sorry, one person pushing the big thing of books. In trial 4, 2 people pushing the big thing of books. So you have to decide which one of those carts would be moving the fastest, would have the greatest acceleration, and why.